Hi, my name is Becca. I am the owner and cake artist of BC Cakes. I'm going to be making a very special LOL themed birthday cake. So I'm going to show you step by step how to ice it, how to decorate it, and then I'll tell you who it's for. Thanks, keep watching. So here is my tutorial. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so I have my cakes already baked. I have my cake board. I have all my tools, my buttercreams. I'm gonna go ahead and put my gloves on. All right, so my cakes are baked already, and I'm just gonna open them up from my clear wrap and then trim the edges a little bit. So if you haven't taken a cake decorating class from me, then this is something that I show you. So you have your cakes. I'm gonna put this one at the bottom, this one at the top. Just wanna make sure they're even. I get my knife and I'm just gonna trim around the edges. So I'm just gonna hold it down and I'm just gonna go up and down and just kinda get these edges that are maybe sticking out a little bit from the pan. There's not usually too much, I'm not really carving into it. Just getting a little bit of the edges. All right, and then if you see there's not really much I took off, but when you ice it, there'll be a difference, it won't be sticking out. All right, so I'm gonna put that away, I'm gonna throw this one out, my trash. All right, so I have my turntable, I have my cake board. So I have two cake boards and I hot glue them together to make them stronger. I have that. I have my icing spatula. It's an offset icing spatula. I have my buttercream. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of buttercream from my bowl. I'm gonna put it right on my board. And you wanna keep it right in the center. Your cake's gonna go right on top of it. If any extras on the edge, it's okay because we can always just wipe it off. But we wanna just try to keep it right in the center. So you want it right in the center, just like that. I kind of flattened it down. All right, so I want to grab my bottom cake. So my top cake I'm going to put to the side. And my bottom cake I'm going to put right on the center of my board. Make sure it's straight. So when it looks good, I'm going to go ahead and press down. I'm just going to firmly press down. Get that nice and stuck. So the buttercream is gonna help stick your cake onto your board just to kind of keep it secure. It's gonna be your glue, okay? Your edible glue. All right, so once that looks good, I wanna make a ring around the top or also a dam. It's just gonna kind of help keep any filling you put in right in the center. So I'm just gonna get my icing bag like this. Just gonna open it up. I'm gonna put my buttercream in my bag. All right. I'm just gonna push it down. So right now my bag is closed. I'm gonna grab a pair of scissors and I'm just gonna cut about 1.5 inches. I'm just gonna squeeze that down. I'm gonna twist this. And then I'm just gonna make a ring all the way around the top. So you're gonna start on the outer edge. And you wanna keep it one solid ring. So if it starts to break apart, you're just gonna slow down and just keep squeezing. All right, so it should look like this. You have your nice thick ring, and that's gonna help keep your filling in place. All right, so I have a strawberry cake, and I'm gonna do vanilla buttercream. So that's yummy. So I'm gonna get my buttercream from my bowl, and I'm just gonna plop it right in the center. All right, and then I just want to smooth this down so it's all aligned with my ring. So we're just gonna smooth that down. And you really want to utilize your turntable. You want to make sure that your doing a wax on, wax off. So I'm turning in one direction and I'm icing in the opposite direction, okay? And this just kind of helps. It feels awkward at first if you're new, but the more you do it, the easier it will get. So lots of practice, okay? All right, so your top should be smooth like that. All right, so now we're gonna add our top. So your top, so when it bakes, it's baking like this and the top is cut off. So this is the top that gets cut off. So the flattest piece with the nice edges is gonna be the bottom. So we're gonna put that on just like this, okay? All right. So you wanna make sure you fill around the edges, make sure it's nice and straight. Kind of look at it really good. Once it looks good, you wanna gently press your pieces together. Get them nice and stuck. All right, how does that look? Look good? Okay. So our extra buttercream in our bag, we're just gonna push down. We're just gonna fill in this gap. So we're just gonna add in some extra buttercream right in the center. And then any extra buttercream I have in my bag, I'm just gonna fill at the bottom. I'm just gonna squeeze that and put that at the bottom. I'm gonna throw out my trash. Okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just start smoothing this down. So our first layer of buttercream is gonna be called our crumb coat. It's also called dirty icing. It just means that it's the first layer of buttercream that we're gonna use, and it's gonna kind of help keep our crumbs set in place so that when we do our next step, it won't be all messy. So the first step is gonna look kind of messy and ugly, but that's okay because it's gonna get better, I promise. All right, so we're just gonna smooth this down. All right. And you can go any way you like. You can go top to bottom or bottom to top, or do the top first. I usually kind of smooth the middle down and then I'll just start adding more buttercream and getting it covered. So my goal right now is just to get the whole thing covered. I'm not gonna worry about it being smooth at the moment. I'm gonna go back and smooth it in the next step. So I just wanna get it all covered up so that all these crumbs will get set for our next step. So you wanna kinda go in you wanna always move your spatula. So I'm keeping it moving back and forth, back and forth. The more if you kind of put it against your cake and pull it off, you're gonna just get more crumbs ripped off. So you always wanna make sure there's buttercream at the bottom of your spatula and you're just smoothing it back and forth. So when you run out, just get more. And then again, I'm doing the wax on, wax off. I'm turning and I'm icing in the opposite direction, okay? All right, so my sides look okay. I'm just gonna kind of go up with it a little bit, get these top corners. All right, and then I'm gonna get my top. So I get my buttercream, and I'm just gonna go right on top, back and forth. And I'm just trying to get this whole thing covered. I wanna make sure all the edges are covered. All right. All right, so this is my crumb coat. And if you notice, it's all covered. All right, so my next step is I'm going to use this tool to smooth it out and just get it nice and flush. So you're gonna get your smoothing tool. You're gonna press it up right against the cake, and I'm just gonna wind up my arm and I'm just gonna go all the way around. You're just gonna keep going all the way to where you started. And so if you notice, there's some spots right here that you can kind of see the cake through. So I'm just gonna go over those just a little bit. I'm gonna end up icing it a couple more times, so those will eventually disappear. But I'm just gonna kind of get that covered just a bit more. If there's any gaps anywhere, then you wanna just cover those up, and then you're gonna go around again. So sometimes it takes a few times around before you got it. So, make sure I wipe this. Okay, so I'm gonna go around again. I'm gonna wind up my arm. I'm gonna go all the way around. All right. So any extra buttercream, I'm just gonna use my spatula, just scrape it off, and then that's just gonna go back in my bowl. I'm just gonna kind of wipe this up a little bit. Okay, so the top part, so I wanna wipe up my spatula. All right, so the top part, if you notice these edges right here, the little edges sticking up, I want to smooth those down. So you want to be very careful. You don't want to go down and up. I don't want a rounded edge. I want a nice flat edge. So I'm just going to keep it nice and straight, and I'm just going to pull in about halfway, and then I'm just going to scrape it off on my bowl, because you want a clean spatula every time. So you're going to pull in and then scrape. Pull in and scrape. So we're just going to do that all the way around till those edges are nice and flatter. All right, so once you got that, to make the top just a little bit more level, you want to get your smoothing tool again, and we're just going to go right on top and then just pull in. And I'm only going halfway because I don't want to mess up the other side. So just going about halfway. You can fix some of those edges. Okay. All right, so our step one is done. We did our crumb coat. And like I said, it looks kind of messy at the moment. You can see your cake through it. But we're gonna ice it again in another step, and so by that time we should be able to not see our cake. So there is our crumb coat, and keep watching for the next step. Thank you. Ready for my next step. So my first step, I went ahead and did my crumb coat, and then I put it in the freezer to chill. So I just brought it out of the freezer. It's been about 15-20 minutes. So when I touch it, it's not sticky anymore. It's nice and firm. It's nice and chilled. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another layer of the buttercream. So just like before, I'm gonna get my buttercream in my bowl, and I'm just gonna start covering it. So just like the first time, I'm just gonna get it covered, and then I'm gonna smooth it in my next step. So we wanna get the whole thing covered, and then if you notice, the buttercream is gonna start to cover up from the cake, so we won't see as much cake through. I might need to do one more layer depending on how much you could see through. So if I was doing a vanilla cake or maybe a strawberry cake, it would be a little easier to cover. If I was doing a chocolate cake, I might need to do one more coat than I would normally do, just to make sure I get that chocolate covered up, because you don't want to see it through your icing. All right, so I'm just getting this all covered. Make sure we don't see our cake through. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my top. So you can't really see your cake through. And I'm gonna start doing my top. I'm gonna add my buttercream, and then I'm gonna use my turntable. Get those edges. Go all the way around. All right, so my cake is covered. I'm gonna do my next step, which is smoothing. All right, so I got my smoother, and I'm just gonna start right at the top, and I'm gonna gently press it against my cake, and I'm gonna slowly turn all the way around, and it's just gonna get all that extra buttercream that I don't need. I'm gonna scrape it back into my bowl, any extra. So I'm just gonna take a look and see if there's any gaps that I might need to cover, or areas I might need to smooth over again. it's always good to wipe your spatula if it gets too much buttercream on there, just to kind of make it easier. So I'm just gonna wipe it. And I'm gonna start my top. So just like before, we have this little edge right here, and that's exactly what I want. I wanna use that and pull it in. That's gonna make my top a little bit straighter looking. So I'm just gonna go right across, halfway in, and then scrape on my bowl. Pull in and scrape. Pull in and scrape. And you're just gonna keep doing that all the way around. And then you might wanna wipe your spatula every now and then just to get some of that off. So just keep going till you get all the way around. All right, so then I'm gonna get my spatula again, and I'm just gonna smooth down the top just to make it nice and level. So we're just gonna go, I'm gonna scrape that off. And then this part, scrape that off. All right, I'm gonna wipe this again. All right. All right. So there's a few little spots right here you can see through just a little bit, but I'm actually gonna go over it another time with some color to give it a little bit of a watercolor buttercream effect. So right now, this is perfect. So stay tuned for the next step. Thank you. All right, for our next step, so I already printed these out. I put the fondant behind them, we saw that. Now I want to put them on a lollipop stick so I can get them to stand up on the cake. All right, so to do that, I'm just going to roll out some more fondant. And then I'm going to attach it to the stick. So I'm gonna get some of my white. I'm gonna roll this out. And I don't want it to be too thin because it needs to be thick enough to hold the image. Alright, that should be good. Okay, so I'm gonna get my water brush and my water. I'm just gonna put a little bit of water just to make it sticky. Okay, so I'm gonna get my lollipop stick and my image. Alright, I'm gonna get my X-Acto knife and I'm just gonna cut it out. Be careful not to mess up my image. I apologize for my dogs barking in the background. Just go all the way around. Alright, so after I cut that out, I'm just going to pull it off. Okay, and then the edges are going to be a little bit rough around it, so I'm just going to go around with my finger and just kind of press it together. Kind of soften up these little edges a bit. Alright, so she's on our stick. Then this is gonna go into the cake like that. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the next one, and also for this one, I wanna put this one on top as well. Let's see, so I'm just going to put this one on, and then I'm gonna cut it out, same thing. All the way around. I'm only gonna do it to these 3. They're gonna be standing on the top part of the cake. The other doll images are gonna be attached to the sides. All right, so I'm gonna pull that off. Pull that off. And then I'm just gonna fix this little part. And I want to go around and soften the edges a bit. All right, so that one's done. So I'm gonna do the same thing for this one. And then this big star I cut out, I actually want to put it on a lollipop stick as well because I want it to be sticking up out of the cake. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. I'm gonna put one on each side of the lollipop stick. And then I'm going to stick that together. So that's gonna go into the cake like that, and I also made some smaller ones. All right, so I got one more to go, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do the next step, which is adding the color to the cake, and then all the details. All right, so I cut the individual dolls, but now I have to cut them out completely. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut out this one first. Got my scissors, and I'm just gonna follow along the edge. And it feels kind of like paper, so it's not too hard to cut. Excuse my dog. They like to bark and fight with the neighbor dog. All right, so I'm just gonna cut this out. And you gotta be real careful. It feels a little like paper, but it can rip if you're not careful. So just gotta be gentle with it. All right, so I cut that out. This is my icing sheet. So I'm gonna get a little bit of marshmallow fondant. Oops, sorry. A little bit of marshmallow fondant from my baggie. I'm just gonna move these ones up a little higher. I'm gonna put a little powdered sugar on my mat. I'm gonna get just a little bit. So I'm gonna get my marshmallow fondant. It feels a lot like Play-Doh. I'm going to roll it in my sugar. It's a little sticky right now, so I'm just gonna use the sugar to make it a little more pliable so I can use it. I'm just gonna knead it just for a little bit. I'm gonna get my rolling pin and I'm gonna roll it out. So I'm gonna roll up and down, and then I always wanna be lifting and turning. So you wanna lift and turn. Okay, so there's my fondant. I'm gonna get some water, a little brush. I'm just gonna put a little bit of water on there just to help make it stick. I'm gonna get my icing sheet. I gotta be real careful. I don't want to wet it. The colors will bleed if you wet it, so you just want to have it a little bit sticky. We don't want it too wet. I'm going to stick it on to my rolled fondant piece. And then I'm gonna get my X-Acto knife and I'm just gonna cut it out. So you wanna be real careful, and you're just gonna cut out the image. All the way around. All right, so once that's cut out, I'm just gonna pull it out. And then these edges are a little bit rough, so I'm just gonna use my fingers and just kind of smooth those down a bit. If I have any excess powdered sugar, I can use my brush. I'm just gonna brush that off. All right, so I'm gonna do this with each of my images. So I gotta cut them out, and then I'm gonna add the fondant in the back. For my next step, I have my white fondant. I'm gonna dye one of them pink and one of them turquoise. And then I'm gonna cut out some little buttons and some butterflies, cut out a few little hearts and stars. Got my star. All right, let me add a star. Okay, my little star. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little sugar to my mat. So this is just a gel color. So I'm just gonna put some on there. And then I'm gonna start to knead it. So I'm just gonna kind of mix it in with my fingers. And then once I get that mixed in, I wanna start rolling it onto my mat. And I wanna get all that color mixed in. So if I need to add a little more sugar, I can. So you're just gonna keep kneading it with the palm of your hand, just pushing down and pulling back. I'm just gonna do this until it's all mixed in and it looks like a nice color. All right, so then I'm gonna do my turquoise. Oops, and I got too much on there. Get a little bit of that off. Okay, so I'm gonna start mixing that. Roll it around in that sugar. All right. So there's a lot of little steps into making a cake. We iced it. We still got to go back and add our color. And then we're going to add our little images and then our fondant cutouts that we're doing right now. All right, so we got our turquoise and our pink. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make some little buttons. Some of that sugar in my hands. So I'm gonna get some of my pink. So this is just a mold. I'm gonna use the button mold right here. I'm gonna get my pink and I'm just gonna push it in. So I want to make sure it's nice and clean before I pull it out of the mold. Let's see, you're going to pull it out. All right, so my fondant was a little bit sticky and it didn't work the first time. So I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to put a little bit of sugar in the actual mold. You get a little bit more fondant. Make sure you have enough sugar on there, because when it's sticky, it is hard to get out. So this time I'm gonna try to do it again. I'm not gonna put too much pressure pushing down. I don't want it to get stuck again. I'm just gonna gently pull it back and pull it out. Okay, that one looks better. And I'm gonna dust it off. So we have a little cute little button. And then if I wanted to make some little other size buttons, there's some smaller ones on here. So I can make a smaller button. These are just going to be little details I'm just going to add to the cake. I'm going to pull it back and pull it out. And then I'm just going to dust off some of that excess sugar. Okay, so everything I make I'm just going to put up here at the top just so I don't smash it. This is a letter mold, so I'm going to use this to make a name. Let's see, I'll just do one letter just to kind of show you. So let's see, I'm going to do an A, so I'm just going to press it in down into the mold. And then before I pull it out, I want to take off any excess. So right now, it's a little messy. I just want to get my finger and push off any excess. So before I pull it out, it should look like this. It should look clean on the edges. And I'm just going to gently pull it back and pull it out. And there's my A. Okay. Okay, so if I wanted to use this one, I want some kind of fat, chunky butterflies. I have a butterfly cutter, but those are for thinner butterflies. I want something kind of fat and chunky, so I'm gonna use this mold. So it's pretty similar. I'm just gonna get my fondant. I'm just gonna squish it in there. pull it out, and then I have this kind of fat, chunky butterfly. All right, and let's see what else. I have some little heart cutters. These are plungers. Let's see, I'll do some in pink. So with the plungers, you need to roll it out. So you get your rolling pin. Get this extra out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna roll this out. There we go. So around about that thin. So this is a cutter, but it's also called the plunger just because it has this little plungy thing at the top. So it's the same thing as a regular cutter. You're gonna press down. I'm gonna give it a twist, and I'm gonna use this to pop it out. So this just helps kind of get it out of the cutter. So there's a heart. I'm gonna do a smaller heart. There we go. These are just some little details I'm gonna add to the cake. All right. All right, I'll see you for the next part. All right, so our next step, we're gonna get our buttercream bags and we're going to make our lines, and then we're gonna smooth it and get it all finished. So let's see, my name is gonna be in pink, so I don't want that in the middle. So I'm thinking I'll do pink at the bottom, maybe purple. All right, so I'm just gonna go like that, round, and then maybe I'll do turquoise. Turquoise and then purple. Pink. Another pink. All right, and then the top part, we'll do pink. Just squeeze that on top. All right, and I'm just gonna smooth the pink part down. This is gonna be my top. It's gonna go all the way around, get to those corners. White spots on top. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and get my icing smoother, this, and we are going to smooth it up. I'm gonna wipe it down. All right, so we're gonna start back. Those cool lines on there. You can kind of see the purple. It kind of disappears. All right, so we want it nice and smooth, so I'm just gonna kind of fill in a couple of little spots. Okay, and then I'm gonna wipe it off. And I'm gonna again. So we just want to keep going till it's nice and smooth. I'm just gonna put this in a little bit of water just to kind of help it shake it off. All right, let's try it one more time. Okay, so I'm almost done. There's just a few little spots I see that need to be smoothed. But other than that looks good. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this in water, shake it off. All right, how does it look from there? All right, so we got one more pass. All right, so that looks perfect. I'm gonna scrape the excess off. I'm just gonna put it into a bowl. All right, so now I gotta do the top part. So I'm just gonna flatten it down. So just like before, we have these edges sticking up. I'm just gonna pull them in and scrape them onto my bowl. So nice and flat, I'm just gonna scrape that in. Scrape that in. So we have our cool little stripe pattern. It's hard to see from the video, but you can see some of the purple in there. I got pink, turquoise, purple, and then some more pink. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop right here for a minute. I'm gonna let it chill for a bit. We're gonna add our bottom part, and then I'm gonna start adding all the cool fun decorations. I'm gonna add all the little decorations that we made. So this is my front. I just put that right there just so that I know where my front is. All right, so I'm going to get my brush. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on the back. Let's see, actually, you know what? I'm gonna put this one on my top. So I'm gonna put that in my center. And I want it to be sticking up a little bit, so it's gonna kind of look like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna add my other pieces. Let's see, so put one there. And one there. So I got that. Okay, and then I'm gonna start putting these ones all the way around the cake. So let's see, I'll put that one in the center. And the cake's a little sticky still right now, so I don't need to add any water. If it wasn't sticky, I would need to add some water to it. All right, so I got those on my front. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my back ones. And the back ones I'm gonna space out just a bit more than I did my front. All right, so there's my back. And then I left a space on the sides right here just so I can add in some little details. All right, so I want to add in the stars that I made. Let's see. So I think I'll put one in the front. I'm just going to use a skewer just to help me make the hole so that I don't have to press into it too hard. All right, and then I'll probably put one back here. And maybe one right here. And again, I'm gonna use my skewer. Press down. Okay. So that's what I got so far. So I need to add in my little buttons and my fondant details. So these I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of water. And these I'm just gonna kind of just put in different spots on my cake. Let's see. And I have my little hearts I can add on there. Maybe I'll add a little heart up here. And my buttons. Where should I add another button? Add another one right there. Add maybe a pink button. Where should I add it? Maybe I'll put one down here. So you want kind of things up high and low, and want it to kind of have a feel of evenness. Okay, so I have these butterflies, so I'm just gonna kind of put them, I think I want to put them near the bottoms just because they're kind of chunky. All right. I also have some sprinkles I'm gonna add on. I'll do that in a minute. Gonna add some little buttercream texture as well. I'll put one of these on the back. Let's do a purple one on the back just so we don't have a bunch of holes everywhere. And maybe a purple, do I have a purple one? I'm gonna switch these, I'll put a purple one up front. Let's see, so I'm gonna put a purple one up front. All right. Let's see, and then I need to add the name. I'm gonna do the name last. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of water on the bottom of my board just so that I can add the sprinkles and just so they'll kind of stick on there. All right. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of water on my board. Just so it's nice and sticky. Okay, so I have my sprinkles, and I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle some on my cake board. Alright, and then I'm going to put some sprinkles on the top part of my cake. Alright, and then I also have these cool, they're kind of these bigger pearl balls. So I have some in turquoise and pink. I'm just gonna kind of put some of those in some different spots. have a darker purple. That over there. I have some white. Maybe I'll add a white on there. All right, and then I put some of my extra buttercream that I used to ice the cake. I put that in a bag and I have a tip on here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of make some little spots just to add a little more detail. Just kind of all around the cake. So you kind of just have to look at it and kind of decide where things should go and kind of look and see if you want to add anything. The colors look really, really pretty. Let's see, where else should I add? Maybe put a little heart. I think I need to put a little heart right here because I think that would be pretty. I'm gonna put a purple heart right here. All right, so I still have one more thing I'm gonna add, but I'm gonna wait till the end, so stay tuned. All right, so I made a couple changes. The name that I had on there was gonna be too big for the front, so I redid it. And I did it in a different color because I didn't realize it was going to be pink on top. And so I went ahead and changed that. So there is my finished cake. And it's from Maribel. And happy 7th birthday. I hope you enjoyed this video. And have a great day. Bye.